Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of my podcast, Is Breakfast Included? How are you guys doing? Good? Good? I'm good too. Thanks for asking. Today on the show, my guest is Monica Aldama. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, and I know some of you have been, Monica and her team are the subject of a Netflix series called Cheer. It is amazing. It's in its second season now. She's also released a book. She's appeared on Dancing with the Stars. She took time out of her busy schedule. And let me tell you something. This girl is busy, so it meant a lot to talk to me about all things Cheer, her book, Dancing with the Stars, what she likes for breakfast, and whether or not she'd choose Waylon or Willie. It was a great conversation sitting down with my old friend and catching up, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's check it out. Tell everyone who you are.
Hello, I am Monica Aldama. I am on a show called Cheer on Netflix. Maybe you've seen it. It came out season 1 a couple years ago, and we just put out season 2. And I wrote a book that just was released called Full Out.
Full Out.
Yeah.
I think a few people have heard about Cheer.
A few people.
How did that get started? Was it something like, did you approach them, the school approach you, or did Netflix come to you? And were there any of the other streaming services? Was this something that was kind of like a bidding war on you, or did it?
Yeah. Okay. So it's actually really interesting because the creator of Cheer, Greg Whiteley, also is the creator of Last Chance U. So I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it's a show on Netflix about junior college football, and kind of set up the same style as Cheer, but very popular, very successful show on Netflix, and had won a lot of awards and Emmys and stuff. And my daughter's now fiance, boyfriend at the time, he played football at Navarro his first year out of high school. And so I came home one day and they were in the living room watching Last Chance U. And of course, junior college football, love junior college. So I kind of got sucked in, and I started watching it with them, and I was like, what is this? And they said it's a, documentary about this junior college team, football team. And of course I started watching it for a bit, and there was a lot of cussing because of course football, And so it was just funny because I said, oh my gosh, our president would never let us do something like this. There's so much cussing, not that I'm going to be cussing in practice, but anyways, it was just funny that was kind of my first thought. And, went back to work. A couple of weeks went by, and I got an email from a producer, and they said they were a producer of Last Chance U, and they were looking into doing a documentary about cheerleading, and they were researching great cheer teams. And so they found us and wanted to talk to me. So obviously that was so ironic that I had literally just watched the show, and not only just watched it, but my first thought was, our school would never allow us to do something like this. So I went to my athletic director, and I said, of course, thinking they would immediately say, oh, you're crazy. But I went to my athletic director and I said, have you ever seen Last Chance U? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, one of the producers emailed me and wants to discuss possibly doing a cheer show. And he said, well, you need to call him back. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I will. And so, I emailed him back, and that led to multiple phone calls with him, and then another one of the producers who actually worked on our show. That was a long conversation that led to then a conversation with multiple producers, my athletic director and our marketing director and myself. And I was a little bit shocked that we'd even gotten that far in discussions. Like, they were actually open to discussing, the school was actually open to discussing this. So, that they decided then, this is back in 2017. So we've been working on this over a really long time. It came out in 2020, but it actually took a lot of work to get to that point. So, that was the fall of 2017. They flew out in 2018, probably like February or March. And they filmed us for a couple of days just to see if we were a good fit for them, and they were a good fit for us. And they loved us, and they offered us a contract. And And what happened was we got a new president. And our president was retiring, so we were getting a new president. And then our athletic director passed away that summer. So we had new athletic director, new president, and a contract sitting out there like, are y'all going to do this? Are you not? And so we kind of went back into limbo again because the two people that needed to approve it were no longer there. And so it went into some discussion, and then they decided to go ahead and, let me do it. And so they came back and they came back for one weekend at homecoming in 2018, but they really kind of moved in the spring of 2019 and stayed there the whole time. But it was a long process to get there, and that's how it happened. I mean, I would have never dreamt in a million years that I would, even open myself up to film a documentary, but I was just, really proud of my team and our work ethic, and once again, had no idea like what was to come or how big it would be, but yeah.
So you said they sent someone out early to kind of see if you guys were a good fit for each other. How did you guys handle that distraction? Did you see documentaries being filmed, and you always wonder like when the camera goes in the room, do they put on a character, or were you guys just doing your natural thing? Yeah,
I mean, we were very naive. We didn't know what we were doing, so. Those 2 days, of course, we were just like, oh, yeah, what do you want us to do? You want to see our pyramid? Okay, yeah, let's do the pyramid, And we kind of ran just a normal practice, but also like, just excited to show them like, this is what we can do. This is our pyramid. These are our stunts, and watch us tumble, I mean, like I said, that was kind of exciting because we'd never experienced. Now, when they came back the next year and actually filmed, it was never... We got very used to them very quickly, like within a day or two. You're mic'd at all times. So the first day or two, you're like, oh, I might not should say that. But then you can't not coach and you can't not practice. So it becomes like they're not even there.
Yeah. So you just kind of fell right into your routine.
Oh, yeah. Like, honestly, like I said, a day or two, you kind of are like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that. Or you're kind of... you're very aware that you have a mic on, but then, you're like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. What do I do? Do I take it off? You don't even worry about that anymore. You just, whatever, you say whatever, you do whatever, because you can't do your job and worry about cameras, especially when you're coaching and you're in a season where we're trying to get ready. So nobody was affected by, at all. No, you wouldn't even have known they were there.
Okay. There was before the series came out, there was a viral video of Ladarius on the sideline dancing, performing, and it went viral. Even Ellen showed it.
Yeah.
Was that something that Cheer just kind of leaked, or was that just a coincidence?
It was just a coincidence because let me think. That was, so we had already talked to, they had already offered us a contract before that video ever leaked. That was in 2018.
So that just came out.
Yeah, it was our first game. I videoed it because he's hilarious, obviously, and I put it in our group, and one of my girls put it on her Twitter, and it just went wild. Like, we were like, what is going on here? But, we had already signed a contract with them. And of course, when they came back out to actually start filming, I told them, hey, he had this video that went viral. So, but it had nothing. It was, everybody thinks, oh, that's the reason they came and filmed them for Netflix, but it really had nothing to do with it at all.
Yeah,
just
it was
coincidence.
Yeah. How do you know that? How do you know when you have so much talent coming to your school? How do you know when someone has it?
Well,
has what it takes.
Yeah, at this level, most, there's very few that come that don't, just because they're very competitive. The kids that do come, they're already looking for the program because they want to compete at that high level. They know what we're about from the beginning. Every once in a while, someone comes and it's more than they expected, and maybe it's too much, but it's really great because it's obviously easier to recruit when you win. I started off with no wins a long time ago and 14 people on the team. So I've really put in a lot of work over the years to build the program. And obviously, as you get more successful, it gets easier. But when you're known and people know, like, this is the competitive program I want to go to, they already have that drive and competitiveness. And obviously some stick out that have that it factor as far as performance on top of that. But they're all, very driven when they get here.
Does anyone ever slip through the cracks and get into your program and you're like, they really...
I mean, of course, because, when you have tryouts, you don't really, it's not like you know them for a long term. Sometimes you do. Sometimes they're people you've recruited for years. And then sometimes someone shows up and you're like, wow, this person is very talented. And you never really know till you actually get into your practice and your system and start working. Because sometimes you have someone that's really talented, but their work ethic's maybe not there. Or they're not really team driven. They're more self-driven. And then sometimes you have people that you really think, well, could get there. They have potential and they end up being your stars, So, you just never know until you really get in it. But there's definitely some people that I think are going to be the top of the top, amazing. And they get there and they really aren't at all for whatever reason. They just... they don't have the work ethic that I expected, Yeah.
There's a scene in season 2. If you haven't seen season 2, sorry. There's a scene in season 2 where you're talking to your assistant coach. This is before COVID. And you guys are discussing the routine and he's like, well, the rookies are hoping this. And you say, everybody hopes. And that line stood out to me more than anything in the whole season, because do you know who Mitzi Shore is?
I do not.
Mitzi Shore was the owner of the Comedy Store in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And she had a saying that it's a sin to support mediocrity. Do you kind of feel that way? Do you kind of feel that way sometimes?
I mean, no, I like to support everyone. But I mean, the fact of the matter is everyone comes there to compete. Everyone hopes to be on that mat,
Yeah.
And as much as I would love to put every single person and give them the opportunity, at the end of the day, my job is to coach and to make the decisions of who's going to be out there competing
to win.
Yeah. And the hardest part is, you do have to put your coaching hat off. You take your mom hat off and you put your coaching hat on and you make the tough decisions.
Yeah. From season 1 and season 2, a lot of your team come from diverse backgrounds. Some of them have harder stories than the other, but the one constant that comes around is that they all look to you as a mom figure. How hard is it to be a mom to all these different personalities?
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult, and I had no idea. I had only been out of college a year when I went to Navarro, and I had never coached. I mean, I was a cheerleader, but I had never coached.
I remember.
Yeah. And I learned a lot. It was trial and error, as I went. But what I quickly learned was, number one, not everybody was like me. You kind of, when you grow up, you're like, oh, everybody's like me. You don't really understand that all the differences in people and how they're brought up and stuff. And so I quickly learned that, I grew up in this pretty typical middle-class family. Not everyone was like that. And then I also quickly learned, as a coach, you really have to wear so many hats. I needed to be an advisor, a counselor, a disciplinarian, a mother, a friend, a coach. It was just everything. And so I knew, I'm not ready for that. So I need to educate myself. So I really tried to learn as much as I could about how I could help them. And I always kind of joke around and say, I really need a psychology degree. That's what I need for coaching, Yeah. And so I took it, I knew that my responsibility was to educate myself and figure out how I could best help them in whatever area it is. But you honestly are working 24/7. My phone goes off at all times because from a very serious question and very, that's important, from, I don't know how to find my class tomorrow. From everything, they ask me everything. So I'm constantly, being pulled in a different direction, or, it could be something from their parents are going through a divorce and they are just at a low point in their life and they just want to come in and talk about it, or they are had a fight with their boyfriend or girlfriend. They're struggling in school. It's really, you name it. I've probably had a conversation with one of them about whatever it is it's going through. And some years it seems like I'm pulled even more so than others. Like this year, for some reason, I feel like I've spent so much time talking and counseling and whatnot with the kids. But, that's just part of it. Like they are not at home. They're away, and I'm the support system.
Yeah.
I think they referred to you as the Bill Belichick of cheerleading after season 1, but I don't think Bill Belichick is hugging his players.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting to see how I was perceived, but I'll take that. I'll take the Bill Belichick of cheerleading. I don't mind that at all. But no, I definitely am not just tough on them. And I'm not just like tough on them. I just have high expectations. And the thing about it is, I think a lot of these kids sometimes they come from a background where nobody expected anything from them. Yeah. And it's interesting how, like, if you set this expectation and demand greatness out of them, they will rise to the occasion. And they just needed someone to expect it out of them.
Exactly. Exactly. And then a lot of kids have been told they're great all their life, and they come in and they don't know how to take the criticism or the...
True that. That's exactly right.
I used to say that about when American Idol first came out, and before it became the circus that it is, these singers would come out and the host Simon would say, like, "You're terrible," but they've been told they're great. They didn't know how to take that criticism.
Absolutely.
And everyone around me would just call me a hater. Speaking of, like, how people perceived you, how was that, like, dealing with coming from, as I've heard you say, that you wanted to use cheer as a recruitment tool, but it immediately threw you into this, like, you didn't know it was going to be as big as it was.
Yeah, we had no idea.
How did you handle the current climate of social media? Like,
well, I wasn't ready for it because, like I said, we didn't know the whole world was going to watch it. And then I also didn't know that people are like they are. I'm just used to my small little social media with my friends, and I'm always one that's I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I'm a pleaser. I don't like to mess up. I always like to do right, and so I'm not used to a lot of criticism. Yeah. Because I'm always, if I do screw up, I try to own it and, like, correct it and make amends or do better or whatever. And so, and I don't want to discredit all the love that I got, because I got so much love. But you know how it is. You can get 95% love, but that 5%, it's still shocking to you to read, and it sticks in your head. Unfortunately, that's how our crazy minds are wired. But I was shocked to see that the people that thought I was, what's the word I want to say? Not too tough, but that I shouldn't be tough. And I think maybe some of that was maybe because I was a female, because I know those coaches on Last Chance U did not get criticized for...
Of course not.
The way that they treated their players. And the thing about it is, I'm not even a yeller. Like, I don't yell. Like, I'll have like, if I have a problem with someone, almost always, not that I don't yell. I mean, obviously we have our moments, but most always I will pull someone to the side and have a conversation with them, just to show them respect of, like, I'm not trying to embarrass you in front of the team. Let's have this conversation. This is what you're doing. This is what you need to do to correct it or whatnot. So I always try to be very respectful with the way that I talk to them or the way that I treat them. And, our practices are tough, but it's not anything more than anything you would see on Last Chance U, with football. And so it was shocking to me for some of the feedback that I was getting, that I was too tough or too this or too that or whatever, because I wasn't even doing things that the football coaches were doing. So I'm used to it now. 2 years in, my skin is thick, I've gotten a lot better about not even reading it. Like, I don't that first year, I'm like, oh, let me search my name on Twitter. And then I'm like, oh, let me not search my name on Twitter. Don't do that. So I don't do that. I don't go looking for the negative anymore. So I've just gotten smarter because I do know that like my mental health is important and that can get to me. So I just try to not read it. And this year, if you've not seen Cheer Season 2, it is a roller coaster. I had a tough couple of years. And so it's been, I really have just tried to stay away from that social media that, and I've gotten a lot of love on my own personal social media, but I also still have the comments and stuff. So, I just keep scrolling.
Yeah. I have this outlook that Twitter's not real.
It's terrible.
It's not real. So, anything said on there, to speak in tropes, the loudest person in the room is the weakest person in the room. And no matter what you do, they're going to tear you down. You could do what they want and they're going to tear you down because you didn't do it right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I kind of have gotten off Twitter anyway. I mean, I have Twitter for sure, but I don't really, if I want to know what's happening news wise, I'll go hop on Twitter real quick, but after the election and COVID, and it was just too much. Like I can't deal with the fighting and the negativity, and it's just too much. I like to keep my thoughts positive.
Yeah. We're going to talk about Dancing with the Stars. We're going to talk about the book, but I never thought I would be so enthralled by cheerleading. Like me growing up here with you and knowing what you've done with this team, I knew about that, but I didn't know about that. So when it came out, I was just like, next episode, next episode. Next thing I'm 9 episodes in. How did you feel when Brad Vaughn went to work for the enemy?
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
No one's going to listen to this anyway.
I think that was more of a personal kind of diss at myself just because of, I don't want to say too much. The fact that, Cheer came out without him the first time, which was totally his decision because he was just taking a step back. But, it was fine. I mean, I knew why he was doing that, and I'm always going to be the bigger. I always will take the high road. So you know what I mean. Like
Good for you.
I still love him, and I think his feelings just were hurt about something, and that was his way of like getting back at me, and that I can only do what I mean. I can't control people's feelings about whatever, but. It was a little surprising, but once again, I just, that's fine if that's what you want to do.
Well, you built this program. You kind of set this standard. It must, it was a shot at you, but it must also be like jealousy is the biggest form of flattery because your biggest rivals just took your blueprint.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, once again, I have always... Hopefully it showed. I've always tried to take the high road in anything because I'm just not about, to me, anybody that's competing, like your biggest competitor is yourself. Like that's how I've always thought of it. And although I respect the competition and how talented they are, because I know it's going to be a tough competition. Like the respect is there, but I also know that anything that they're doing that's not going to affect my practice. That's not going to affect what we're doing or, our performance at the end of the day. Like we have to put the work in and we have to focus on what our talents are and what our skills are. And so that's how I've always ran my program. And so when, I always knew that was kind of how they ran theirs, but it was a little bit shocking to see it on camera. I was like, wow, okay. But, once again, I just like to stay positive and I like to focus on what we can do and what talents we have. And that's how I will always, continue to do. I just think that's the the best way of, personally for me, to have a mindset of a champion is to focus on what we can do.
All right, on. It's a great way to look at it. How did Dancing with the Stars come about? I know you talk about it in season 2, but
yeah. Well, first of all, I'm a huge fan. I've been a fan since season 1. Obviously, I respect the difficulty, the artistry, and everything. It's kind of like I love cheerleading, and I understand how hard that is, yet how beautiful it can be. And I went to the team, not the whole team, but a lot of the team and myself. We went to. We got invited to go to their live show in Dallas, where I think it was in Grand Prairie, back in March, and it was literally the week before the pandemic hit, and so it was in 2020. And we went, and we got to go backstage after the show was over, and I met all of the pros, and Val, my partner on Dancing with the Stars. I met him, and the first thing he said to me was, "I want you to be my partner on the next season of Dancing with the Stars." And so I was like, "What?" What? And we took a picture together. He sent it to the producer. So I knew he had said that. I knew he had talked about me in like some interviews about he'd love to have me as his partner. But that was, literally the week we were actually in spring break. It was our spring break, which we call Hell Week, because we get to practice. It's not really hell. It's really great because we get to practice all day with no distractions. And it's when we really clean everything up, and, and I know I'm kind of going off track here, but I'm trying to wind this story all together. Like, the media had put this focus on, or had been saying oh, Navarro is going to lose their focus because they're out doing all these interviews, and they're on the Ellen show, and they're doing this. They're not going to win in Daytona. And so, of course, that made me go, wait a minute. We're going to work twice as hard. So we had been working our tails off to get ready. And we had done, that week of spring break, we had done 25 full outs already. We could have competed if we needed to right then. So we practiced like Friday through that Wednesday, and then I give them Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, and before we start back those last few weeks to push. Well, went to Dancing with the Stars show. I think it was that Sunday. After our practice that evening, we went up there. We went to the show. We came back. Did our practices. I was like, this is great. Talk of COVID was in the news, and I'm like, oh, that's not going to affect us. We're good. And we left on that Wednesday feeling great about where we were. And the next day, the NBA canceled their season or something crazy. Everything just went downhill really fast. And then by that Sunday, our season was canceled. So the last thing on my mind at that point was Val talking about Dancing with the Stars. I'm like, we just got our season canceled. Oh my God, we're in this pandemic. Oh, but it's only going to be a couple weeks. We just have to lock down for a couple weeks, Then we'll be back to normal. We even thought maybe the kids could come back. We were so naive. Thought maybe, because we went online school, we thought maybe the kids could come back, in a couple of weeks. No. So of course, yes, that was exciting, but that was at the back of my mind because we had just gone into this crazy pandemic. We're in quarantine. My own, Allie and her boyfriend at the time were back here. So we were all here at home, and it almost felt like a vacation because we're just all together. We're cooking food every night. I've never been home that much in my life because I'm used to my coaching schedule. I'm always gone. Yeah. And so I never really thought about Dancing with the Stars again. And then all of a sudden, because I'm so focused on this pandemic and how we're going to get through it and the team coming back and all these, conditions, our sports got moved to the spring. Every time we were hopeful, we're going to get to go to camp. The team will come back. The new team will come back this summer. Everything is going to get back to normal. Well, that got canceled. And then we're still like, oh yeah, sports are still great. We're still going to come back to school, Well, then we got word that no, the NJCAA decided to move all sports to the spring. So we weren't going to have anything to cheer at that fall. And then I got a phone call from my agent one day, and he said, hey, the Dancing with the Stars producer want to talk to you about doing Dancing with the Stars. Oh, and by the way, you'd have to be there in 2 weeks. And I was like, what? So then it gets brought back. This has been months since I talked to Val. And so, just thinking it through, I talked to my family about it. And of course they knew how much I loved the show and they were very supportive of it. And so I talked to my athletic director and our president, everybody, about, because really, honestly, if I was ever going to do it, like all of our sports got moved to the spring. So we were kind of at like a standstill as far as what our normal schedule is. Yeah. And so they were very supportive of it. And so we moved forward. I talked to the producers and then they invited me to come to the show. And so I tried to get everything ready as fast as I could for the new team and, what all they needed to know and have ready for them. And then there I went. That's how that started. That's how that happened. That's crazy.
All of that.
Yeah.
How confident were you going into that? Being a...
Yeah, I'm always very confident. I'm like, listen, I've competed either as an athlete or I've coached it for 27 years. I know the mindset it takes to compete. My work ethic is I'll practice all day if I need to, I'm not really in shape, but I just spent three or 4 months in quarantine where we cooked a lot, but it's okay. And so I was confident that I could handle the mindset needed, But let me tell you, I got there and it was not the case. I was so intimidated. I was shocked at how intimidated I was because I quickly learned that, well, first of all, I knew nothing about dance. Everybody thinks, oh, you're a cheerleader. This is your thing. And I'm like, no, it's not. I don't know any of the terminology. Your posture is very different in cheerleading versus ballroom dancing. I knew nothing. Val was my coach, and he was very mean. So, it was just a very intimidating situation, and I'm going up against these people who perform for a living on a stage. Some of them, they're actresses. They do Broadway. And yes, I'm a coach, but I haven't actually been the performer since I was 20, and so I'm like, this is I've not done this, myself in a long time. And then I also realized like you actually need some acting skills to do this dancing thing, and I don't have any of that. So, I quickly found that I had a lot to learn
in a short time.
In a very short time.
What was your standout moment for you?
I think my favorite dance that I finally felt like, I'm finally like feeling confident was when I did the rumba, which was several weeks in. And unfortunately, that night happened to be the Cowboys played Monday Night Football, because that dance I had actually like dedicated to my husband, and they had the Dallas skyline as the backdrop. And it didn't even show in Dallas or Corsicana. If you wanted to watch it, you had to watch it like either record it or watch it at like 1:00 in the morning or something, because they ended up playing Monday Night Football game on ABC that night. So, but that was like where I felt like the most confident and finally like I was learning a thing or two.
Right on. Did he eventually watch it?
Who?
Your husband?
Oh, well, they got it. Yeah, for sure. They, I had like a live stream that I could give them.
Oh, okay.
That Dancing with the Stars gave me. So they were watching it, of course, live, but of course they recorded it and watched it later on the TV as well. But yeah, it was disappointing that the one night I was going to have the Dallas skyline on, it wasn't even on TV.
Here's an oddball question. I wasn't even planning on asking you this, but Carol Baskin was on your season. Did you ask her about her husband?
I did not. I did not. She was, first of all, everybody was so nice. Everybody was so nice. She was not on there, that long, but we had these crazy COVID restrictions, so we weren't supposed to like really gather too much, but we did obviously when we did dress rehearsals and show days, like we were all on stage and talking and stuff. But I can remember the first time I saw her, she really stood several feet away. Like she didn't really interact with anybody. She just seemed more quiet. But I did talk to her a few times. She was super nice, super nice. But I didn't ask her about her husband.
You've got a book. You released a book right around the time season 2 came out. It's called Full Out. For someone who hasn't read the book, would you recommend them read it before they watch Cheer, after, or during?
I I would say if you're going to read the book and watch Cheer, I would watch Cheer first, just so that you kind of get to know me a little bit. But you also, like, I do talk about Cheer stuff in the, because a lot of my stories that I relate to, they're all obviously about my career or my personal life. But so I do talk about my team some, and then I talk about some people that were in the show. So if you're going to do both, I would definitely watch Cheer before you read it. But even if you don't watch Cheer, you should read it.
Yeah. How was it like putting yourself out there in print? Like, you've already kind of done the ultimate, put yourself out there, but this is more personal, a book.
I think I talk about in the book about when Chris and I divorced and then remarried. And I feel like that time of my life really kind of changed my mindset about being vulnerable and kind of opening up about because I am a private person, but I think because of that struggle that we went through, and, that was definitely a hard time in my life, I realized that the lessons that I personally learned were important, and that a lot of people, like me talking about it, I shouldn't be embarrassed about failing in my marriage and figuring it out. That's life. And so I think that was helpful. Not that a divorce should be helpful, but it actually is the best thing that ever happened to us, because it really made us focus on like what we needed to do for ourselves to bring our best versions of ourselves to each other, But
a lot of people stay in it and never fix it. So is it better the second time around?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like I said, when we got divorced, I know for me, I don't want to speak for Chris, but I know for me personally, like, I think a lot of people, when they get to a divorce, they are so angry at each other for whatever the buildup is, that they want to blame each other. And that wasn't the case, I don't think, for us at all. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. I was, sad that I had failed at something, my marriage, and something very important. And so I really wanted to do whatever it took to become the best version of myself. Like, what could I have done differently? What do I need to work on? And I think if we do that in all areas of our life, like really look at ourselves, then and what we brought to the table and what we could do better, because at the end of the day, that's all you can ever control is yourself, right?
Yeah.
Can't control anybody else. Like, why would I worry about what he needs to do? Like, I need to worry about what I need to do. And so I took that opportunity to read a lot of books and listen to a lot of things, and kind of dig down deep, like, okay, well, Monica, you need to apologize more. Like, you're not always right. I know you think you are, but you're not, and just different things that I knew I could do to be a better partner. And I think the biggest thing is just like not allow the stress that I have from work and everyday life to, like, I shouldn't take that out on Chris. Like, that's like, and I even say it in the book, like, it's weird that we treat the people that we love the most the worst when we're under stress.
Yeah.
And so just making sure that we acknowledge, like, hey, we're like, and even now I'm like, hey, I'm really stressed out today. So, like, if I snap at you, and I'm apologizing in advance, because it has nothing to do with you. I'm just really stressed out. So, just taking, like, don't allow ourselves to get, ever there again. And so it wasn't hard. So back to your original question, it really wasn't hard, because I think that period of my life made me realize how important it is to be vulnerable. And I mean, shoot, I'd already put myself out there for this TV show. And so I was like, these are important things I feel like people could learn from. And these are the things that I think are important. That's what I wanted to put in the book, is what I thought could help you live your best life, whether it's, taking ownership for this or being a better leader. Because I know one of the big things that for me is like leading by example. And that's not just as a team or as a coach. That's in your household. I mean, don't you want to be the leader of your family? Like, you want you want to be that role model for your kids. And so it's really all areas of your life. Some of these basic principles that I tried to instill in my own athletes that I, felt like people would want to read about.
And so that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
So
actually, your first answer before you went into answer, like, I didn't expect you to go into that. So thank you.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. A few more questions about cheer. Like, you, in these last 2 years, like, have you learned how to deal with the distraction of having a camera around you or mic on you all the time? Are you a little bit more at ease, just like going into it?
Oh yeah, like I said, I mean, you have so much when you're coaching. You have so many other things you're worried about, like why you haven't hit that stunt yet, or who needs to do this or what, that you don't really worry about it. I think the harder part of filming was all the outside filming that we had to do. Like in practice was not a problem because we weren't worried about the cameras. Mm-hmm. We were worried about practice, But they want to film for 12 hours a day. So that means they're filming somebody for 12 hours a day, So a lot of times when they had nothing to film, they were in my office. They were in my office all the time. So that's where it was like, I really want to work on, like, I need to get this done. And you're asking me questions, so I can't get this done. So it was a lot of work for me. Like, I already have a crazy schedule because if I'm not at a practice or a game, then when we're filming, I'm filming. So it was just a constant, and I'm used to that because, I mean, yes, coaching, there are weeks that you don't have a day off. You're working nights. We do 2-a-days on Tuesdays and Thursdays already. That's just our schedule. We practice Monday through Friday. And on Tuesday, like last night, got home at 10:30 or 10:45, and start my day again today. So it's a pace that I'm used to, but I'm used to having that time to also get done what I need to get done. So when they're they're wanting to film outside of practice, that's taken away from my time that I'm working on whatever it is I need to work on, whether it's getting stuff ready for the team or planning a clinic or turning in paperwork for competition or the thousands of other things I have to do for the college. It was just a lot. So it was draining, and then they want to come to your house and film you cooking dinner. They want to, you got to go in your car, whatever you do. And they would, I mean, I even said no to a few things. I mean, I kind of joked around after season 1. I said, if I would have let them follow me into the bathroom, they totally would have. I mean, that's just, they wanted to be there for
that's
everything.
True, though.
Yeah. I mean, they literally, I sometimes like I remember when the pandemic was folding out, like we had just finished our spring break practices and Chelsea called me. She's like, what are you doing? This is like that Thursday. I was like, I'm going to get my hair done. She was like, we're coming to film. And I'm like, no, you're not going to come film me getting my hair done. And of course they film me getting my hair done because that's what they want to do. And then they're like, now what are you doing? Well, we were going to go eat dinner. Well, we're going to come film y'all eating dinner. Okay. I mean, like there's no privacy, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
I bet. One thing you said, one thing I noticed, and this isn't really a question. I think people from our generation say this a lot, and I don't hear it in this newer generation. You're having a day, and you go, I got to step outside. I got to do this. I'm going to leave it at the door.
Yeah, I kind of cracked up that they actually put that in there.
But I use that term a lot. I'm just going to leave it at the door.
Yeah.
But you don't hear that with this newer generation. That really struck with me because I heard it all my life. Just leave it at the door.
And we do say that in cheerleading a lot because sometimes, you're talking about, we have 40 kids on the team and sometimes they date each other. Well, that's never good, and then of course they have little friend issues and stuff. So we always say, leave it at the door. Like when you walk into this gym, your teammates are here to work. And you leave it at the door. You leave everything outside, and So we as a team say that all the time. Okay. But that in the show, I was feeling a lot of anxiety, and I wasn't in a good mood, and I was like, I need to check myself.
I felt that.
I'm going to walk outside. I'm going to leave it out there and come back in with a better attitude.
You've made it when you're parodied on SNL.
Yes, that was greatness, Do you
get a heads up when that happens, or? Well,
not really. The creator of the show, Greg Whiteley, he actually texted me and said, I think they're doing a parody of y'all, of the show tonight. Like literally like an hours before, maybe an hour before. And I don't know how he got word, but so of course we put it on there really quick, and there we are. It was hilarious. But yeah, it was that wild, like, I mean, people were so, I think just like you said it correctly. You never thought you would be so invested in a cheer show, right?
No.
And here you are. And Dax Shepard that I just did the other day, he said the same thing. He was like, his partner on the show, he watched it for her because she used to cheer, and he had made her watch something. He was like, he said, I'm going to watch this stupid show. And he said within 2 seconds, he was like, what? He couldn't get enough, you know? So it's crazy.
I think I was 3 episodes in when season 1 was released, and I messaged you like, well done. Like, this is so good. You've met a lot of famous people, a lot of strong women, Oprah, Ellen, Whitney Cummings. Who's your favorite of the famous people that probably you never thought you'd meet?
Oh my gosh. First of all, I mean, funny story. So when the show came out, I was like, can we do Kiss FM 106.1? Like, I am such a fan of Kelly, Big Al, and JC. Like, that would be a dream come true. Well, we got booked on their show. Like, went up, we did some local Dallas news, went over to the station, and we're in person doing the radio station with them. I was like, oh, this is best thing ever. Like, I've made it. I am talking to Kelly and Big Al, and that was like a Tuesday. And that Thursday, I was in our marketing department. I was in the office talking about something. And I got a phone call from our Netflix PR, and she was like, Ellen wants y'all to come on the show, and she wants you to bring the team and do a performance. And I was like, I fell down on my knees. I was like, what is going on here? And so it just like spiraled out of control so fast. Obviously, who doesn't want to go on Ellen, right? Like, that was, if I could just even be an audience member on the Ellen show, which is hard to get to any of that, And so that was wild. Ellen was great. I did Ellen again, like a week or 2 ago, and she was so sweet. I actually had COVID. So I was supposed to be on the show, and I got stuck in a hotel in LA for a week because I had to quarantine. So I had to Zoom in. So I was really sick actually the day that I did Ellen. So hopefully you couldn't tell. But
I thought you were here.
No, I was in LA. I was supposed to be on her show. But I tested positive for COVID. So she had someone sent over, and she, said she wanted me to come back. So I don't know if I'll go back and do before her show ends or not, but she's such a fan, and she's so supportive. So just so grateful for that. But anyway, she's had somebody come to my hotel and brought me this huge bag of Ellen hoodies, jackets, T-shirts, mugs, you name it. It was just full of all these great gifts.
Underwear. The boxers.
More underwear. Because I have underwear from the first time we went, more underwear. And then she sent a box of T-shirts to the college for all the teams. So just so supportive. But then Oprah, then I got a message from Oprah's tour person when she was doing that tour, which was so funny because I wanted to go to Oprah's tour. Before the show even came out, I had talked to my sister-in-law about going to see Oprah. But I didn't buy tickets because I didn't know what my schedule was going to be. And I'm usually working all the time. I was like, I hate to spend all the money on these tickets and then not be able to go. And then, of course, that was the craziest thing ever. And Oprah was like she was the sweetest person, just hanging out like she had known us forever, so sweet. Whitney Cummings, though, is... she and I talk all the time, and she has been my biggest supporter. Literally, whatever you need. Like when I was in LA doing Dancing with the Stars, she sent her assistant over to bring me some stuff. She always wanted me to come. She's like a true friend. Obviously, I'm not friends with Ellen and Oprah, but we, she's invited to my daughter's wedding. She came to visit the college back in May. So we actually are friends now. So that's been a really, really fun friendship to have. And I could see us being friends forever. She's just the sweetest person I know. That's awesome. Yeah. She's hilarious. She's brilliant. I'm a huge fan of Whitney. Hilarious. Yeah. And she came to my book signing in LA a few weeks ago. And even though it was a book signing, I couldn't quit laughing. She had some people crying. We were laughing so hard. She's just really, really good people.
Right on. Right on. I'm going to wrap this up. I have a few more questions. Being from Texas, I have some Texas questions for you.
Oh, goodness.
They're kind of rapid fire.
Oh, no.
Number one, Waylon or Willie?
Oh, Willie.
Barbecue or Mexican food?
Oh, Mexican. All day, every day.
Rock, country, or hip hop?
Country.
And to settle a debate in my household, is it pecan or pecan?
Pecan. Pecan.
Got you guys. The podcast is called Is Breakfast Included? If breakfast was included, Monica, what would you have?
Ooh, I love some good old bacon and eggs and biscuits.
Nice.
Traditional.
Nice. Country girl.
Yep.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you.
As long as I've been touring, when I've been all over the world, people ask me where you from. I never say Dallas. I always say from Corsicana. No one ever heard of it. Now everyone's heard of it. And I don't think that Corsicana can have a better person represent them than you.
Aww.
I've known you almost all my life.
I know.
And
This is crazy.
I'm so happy with your success.
Thank you.
You doing this is a big deal to me.
Well, thank you.
But thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Right on, Monica Aldama. Seasons 1 and 2 of Cheer are streaming currently on Netflix, and you can get her book Full Out, anywhere you buy books. Also, check out cheertourofficial.com. They're taking their show on the road. You can find out about dates and tickets, and if they're coming to a town near you, I highly suggest you go check it out. All right, guys, I'm done. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.